are live. Welcome everyone to the Solution Podcast. I've got Hassan and John Michelle here with me. I hope everyone's okay. Today we're going to be talking about deconstructing Hollywood's agenda, and we're going to be looking at several videos, and we're going to touch on a lot of put it this way, conspiracy theories. Perhaps I don't even think it's conspiracy theory. I think by now it's true. People believe in it. But definitely there used to be conspiracy theories. Yeah, we're gonna be touching on a lot of things, and but yeah, guys, how's everyone doing?
All good.
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Everyone all right? Yeah,
Yeah, can you hear me well?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Hassan, everything good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, you guys have heard of a place called Hollywood. Yeah, you guys have heard of that? Yeah, they make movies.
Sure.
Um, and they movies shape society. They they bring about a lot of things that coincide with a certain other agenda. I call it the occult agenda. A lot of what they do coincides with it. What do you think of that? Before I play the video of where Hollywood comes from and all of that type of stuff, how do you guys feel about what Hollywood promotes and how it coincides with the occult?
I think in terms of how it coincides with the occult, they're almost synonymous because once you scratch beneath the surface, you see a lot of the occult motivating it, or being people who are heavily involved in the occult being people who are great influence in the industry. There are some good things of Hollywood besides entertainment. They do push narratives at times that are better for society, but the occult agenda can't be ignored. And once you scratch beneath the surface, it becomes quite clear.
Hmm.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon, John? Michelle?
So, well, first of all, most of Hollywood is, especially the films, is what I would call predictive programming. So they condition society with movies. Um, Things that they have planned for the future of society, they often will put in a movie first to simulate it, so that they can see how it's going to play out, and then they play that out to the public to see their reaction to it. That's the first thing. And in terms of the link to the occult, now if you just follow most, I'm going to say, Judeo-Christian understanding of the world, you would understand, or you would believe in, an Almighty God, and you'd also believe in the devil. And you would also believe that the devil, according to the Bible, and Hassan could give me the Muslim interpretation, that at some level the devil is actually, or Satan is actually in rulership right now. That the world's been handed over to him. This is in accordance with scriptures in the Bible and prophecy, particularly the one where Jesus is on the mount, and Satan says to him, if you bow down to me, I will give you all the cities of the world. And you can't give anything, you can't give away something that you don't own. So this is the common theme within religion, is that Satan, and not all religion, but Judeo-Christian religion, is that Satan is somehow in control at the moment, has been given a license to corrupt us, to basically test human beings and corrupt them. In order for him to do that, he has to have influence, and he has to channel his message through certain avenues to potentially corrupt as many people as possible. So the point I'm making is, if you have a venue, a tool like a Hollywood, like a mass film propaganda production vehicle that you can literally manipulate and broadcast to millions of people throughout the world, it makes sense that for the devil, or whatever entity you want to call it, to influence human beings, he would have to use that. It makes sense for him to use it, because that's the best way to program as much minds at once, and that's where the link with the occult comes into it. So that's my initial views on it.
Yeah, I agree. The way I came to understand that, um, the way I came to understand that Hollywood coincides with the occult. Like you said, the occult. If you look at the Judeo-Christian belief, if you look at the Bible, you'll see that Satan is the current ruler of this world. He is in charge until Judgment Day. So, until he is sent to a special place in hell where he's not, is never allowed to come out ever again and mislead the nations. So, if he is the ruler, if he is the ruler, it makes sense to have an industry like Hollywood, like you just said, because it serves its purpose. It makes sense to have false religions. It makes sense to have many things. But the way I came to understand that it coincides with it is when you start looking at what the occult practices, what they do, what they believe in. When you start looking at um, when you and then when you look at Hollywood, and you can see how, you know, both are alike. You can see that you don't have to actually know too much about. You just have to know what the occult is about. But in terms of actually having deep knowledge in the occult and know everything about it, you don't actually have to. You just have to know what the occult does, you know, from child sacrifice to what do you call it, um fornication and all of that. They do all types of stuff, like everything that the basically that you see God in the Bible commanding the Israelites not to do, not to partake in, everything that he tells them that is a sin. um the occult does the opposite of that. Sorry, does that. They do exactly that. So what God forbids the Israelites from doing is what the occult does. And why? Because it's in rebellion towards God. And so you just have to see what Hollywood promotes and what the occult is about, and you will see that the agendas match, that they are pushing the same idea. You know, men can be women, women can be men, feminism, you name it. It's all part and parcel. But yeah, let's find out where Hollywood came from, where this name Hollywood comes from.
Or from children from childhood days about magicians who use a magic wand. Well, the magic wand is just what it says it is. So it's a some sort. We've heard in stories galore from children from childhood days about magicians who use a magic wand. Well, the magic wand is just what it says it is. So it's a some sort of a branch of a tree that has been consecrated and made holy by blessings from the priest, and now it has a magical quality that can do things that humans can't do. The Druid priests, they used the wood of a holly tree. They used Hollywood, and that's where we get the term today, Hollywood, and the magic of Hollywood. We've heard in stories galore from children.
Interesting. So it has its roots in Druids. But
Yeah,
before you go, John Michelle, there
yeah.
are other theories, guys, out there of how this name came about. Just
Mm.
to let you guys know. So there is someone, I forgot what his name is, Wilcox or something like that. But there is other theories of how, you know, I think he was one of the it was the founder of that name of that area or whatever, and he's the one who called it Hollywood. But there are other other theories out there, but there isn't a
Mm.
specific one. That's
Mm.
what there is. There isn't. They're not sure as to exactly how the name came about, but there are theories. But of course, we believe in this theory rather than the other theories because this coincides with everything that we've you know, discovered. Yeah, go ahead, Johnson.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the reason why I think this is such a good theory is for a number of things. The number one, if you look at even some of the most biggest kind of uh, uh, films or promotion. For example, the Disney emblem with that's a star. It's the Mickey Mouse building a star around, and you see the stars coming off the stick, the druid stick, the magic stick.
Do you say
So
the
that's
Disney?
literally Disney, yeah. So that literally is showing you the magic stick.
All right.
Also, if you think about in magic, there is a stick used in magic, um, and when the stick is waved around, what comes off the stick? Stars,
Yeah,
right? And what do we call movie stars? We call actors movie stars.
yeah, that's
The
right. Yeah.
sticks and the stars. They call it the
Uh,
Night of the Stars. When they have the Oscars, what do they call it? The Night of the Stars, right? So
yeah.
even even in the main product of Hollywood, which are the actors, they themselves are called stars. So you have the Hollywood, and then you have the stars. So that shows you the link between the roots of Hollywood and magic, magic practicing. And we're talking about real magic. When he talks about those druids, those were real magicians that dabbled in magic,
It's
witchcraft.
not. It's not actually
We
magic.
lit, so we lit, so we lit, well, let's call it witchcraft then. So they
Yeah.
literally were people that were dabbling in witchcraft, and that literally is what. And what does witchcraft do? It alters reality.
Mm.
Um, it subverts uh, God or the Judeo-Christian way of things. And I'm sure Hassan would agree the Islamic teaching it subverts it. I don't know if somebody disagree with that, but it subverts it, and that's what Hollywood does. It takes everything, as you said, Nelson, it inverts everything. So
That's it.
anything that is seen as being good, it will invert it to be evil and wicked. That's why Hollywood will have it, for example, Hollywood will have you rooting for this is the term, rooting for the bad guy. Or if you look at the films that we like when we grew up, we like the Scarfaces, and we like the
Yeah.
Godfather, and we
Yeah.
like so it shows you the worst of human beings. That says that's the first thing you're supposed to like. It always has that duality in there where you can go for the you can go for the hero, but here's the bad guy too if you want to go for him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I've noticed lately they make the bad guy look better than the good guys.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what the guys. That's the guy. I remember me and my friend recently. My friend put up a picture of it. I don't know if you remember the film. It was a really good film. I think it was called Blow or Heat or something. Traffic. I think it was Traffic with Michael Douglas.
Oh no, 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 no.
There was a Colombian assassin called Frankie Flowers, and me and my friend used to love this character. We thought he was like. We used to quote all his lines and stuff. This guy was a maniac in the film, but it makes you think that why were we so drawn to the bad character? Because we were being conditioned. That's why.
Mm. Hassan, do you have the concept of witchcraft? That is in Islam. Is that something that's real in Islam? You think it exists? Because I don't think it's magic. In the way we think of magic. I believe this is witchcraft. I mean, but do you have the same? Do you believe in witchcraft in Islam?
Yeah. So yeah, Islam. Yeah, we go into great detail of witchcraft and how it's prohibited, how it is the communication with demons and such. We have an almost identical view of witchcraft as the Christian perspective, almost identical. It's heavily prohibited. It is the quickest path to disbelief from the Islamic perspective, or eternal punishment.
Do you guys believe in demonic possession? Sorry.
Yes, we do.
Oh wow. Okay.
We have the concept. I think JM might be aware of this. He seems quite familiar with Islamic teachings to a certain degree. We have the term the jinn, which is
Yeah, Jin. I know about Jin.
yeah. Yeah, they're not demons. They're just a different creature. But of the jinn, you have shayateen being demons. So you have the Christian perspective that the devil is a fallen angel. From the Islamic perspective, he is of the jinn, and whoever of the jinn that follow him are shayateen. So a separate creation who is invisible, can shapeshift, can possess human beings, can whisper into the ears, into the hearts of people, to communicate with them. That is usually what is exclusively through witchcraft and the occult. You have verses in the Quran talking about those who tie knots and blow into them, which is a form of witchcraft. So yeah, we have great detail because it is a pre-Abrahamic tradition, witchcraft.
Right.
From the
That's what
Islamic
I'm going to go
perspective,
into. Right.
yeah, from the Islamic perspective, it goes all the way back to the time of Noah, and further than that, where they would accuse prophets of being witchcraft when they would come with news of turn away from evil and go back to God. The people of that time would accuse them of being possessed as a mockery, as an insult. So the concept of witchcraft and being possessed and dealing with demons and such is something that is as older than humanity. I'll say that much.
But in your
What was
worldview,
it? Yeah.
sorry, John. In your worldview, you believe that these demons were created, these jinns, they were created as jinns, right? And they're not, for example, in the Christian worldview, they chose, they made a choice that, that's why they're called fallen angels. So they were not created, of course, they were created with free will, but they were not created bad, put it that way. They were just, they chose to, follow the devil who rebelled against God. Do you, but in your worldview, it's more like they were created as such, right?
No. So you have human beings, which are a species, and you have jinn, which are a species. Those who are of the jinn, who are disbelievers and rebellious and followers of Satan or shayateen, they are shayateen, they're jinns. They're demons. So you can have a jinn that's a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Jew or agnostic or whatever. Or I doubt agnostic. I'm pretty sure because they have some sort of superpowers, they can see certain things. But you have of the jinn who are Christians, who are Muslims, who are Jews, who are this, and then of that jinn, you can also have ones that are that are followers of Satan. In the unseen dimension, Satan is a amongst them, he is an influential leader or person or being or whatever who's older than them, I guess.
So they were not created bad.
Yes, that's a good point. Yes, they have choice.
They had choice and they made that choice.
Yes.
Oh, so that's pretty much similar to our worldview.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir, John. Show you say.
Yeah, just a couple points. So first of all, it makes sense why Islam would be have a quite a strong aversion to it, because in that part of the world is where a lot of this started. In the Arab world, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now, in terms of the occult and secret knowledge and rites and witchcraft. Because if you look at what alchemy is, that comes from the Arab world. The idea of alchemy, the idea of secret knowledge, it comes from a very old order called the Essenes. As I said, the Essenes. They were a secret order that were before the Knights Templar, before the Freemasons, and they were the ones that actually started a lot of this secret knowledge and so-called Masonic or Luciferian thinking. It comes from a group of Arabs called the Essenes, which people could take time and look those people up. So yeah, in that part of the world is where actually a lot of this comes from. So I guess it would make sense for Islam to be very acutely aware of that. So I can see what Hassan. It makes sense what Hassan is saying.
Have you guys thought of, like, I look at the Knights Templars, I look at the Freemasons, I look at all of these guys.
If you Hassan, can you look up the scenes? You got time?
Assassin. Yeah. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it now.
I
think they are all one and the same. I think they are a continuation. So for example, like you've got the the church, the church fathers, and it continues for 2,000 years. I think Freemasons, and all of these different groups that practice this so-called secret knowledge. Um, it's all a continuation, going all the way back to Pharaoh, going all the way back to the fallen angels, where the Bible basically describes its beginnings, how it started. But to me, of course, it started in Satan. It started in heaven, when Satan rebelled. But I think it goes all the way back. I think it goes all the way back, and I think what we have today is the same as what they had back then. They continue. They never separate. There was never a moment where they stopped. Yeah, they might have not been as influential as certain times, at certain periods, but they continued till what they have today. What they have today, I think, is the same thing, because what's his name, Aleister Crowley, he said that one of the demonic entities that was communicating with him, and this guy is basically, he revolutionized pop
Father
culture.
of it all. He's the father of all of this.
There you go.
The
Exactly.
father of it all.
He said that
He's
he
one
was
of the church fathers of the Church of Satan.
Yeah, he said he was in contact with a demon that had a demon in Egypt.
Yeah,
And this,
yeah.
I forgot the name of this. It's not some minor demon, because there's ranks in the demonic world. And I don't know if it was Osiris or something like that, but it was a very powerful demon, that write the book Tarot and so on. So I reckon that how we have the Holy Spirit, like the concept of the Holy Spirit. You guys might not understand it, because it comes from the you should understand the concept of the Holy, even if you don't believe it to be God. You should understand it, John Michelle. But the Holy
Yeah,
Spirit is
I
the only
definitely understand it.
yeah, the Holy Spirit is the only spirit that Christians are supposed to basically trust. That's it. We are not supposed to mingle with any other spirits. And and then and I think, and this speaks to the continuation of a certain belief. And I believe what we have today, those people that practice Freemasonry, all these different they're just different names, but they all practice essentially the same thing. And it goes back to back then. It goes all the way back.
Well, you know what? The thing is, what we're talking about Hollywood, Dan, we have to understand this. There's a bit of an irony here, or because as well as the occult, um, a lot of your favorite films actually have a lot of biblical.
Bro, you're cutting up. We can't hear you. Jam, you still there? Something happened to JM's audio. We can't hear JM.
You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. We just can't hear Jam. Jam, if you need to go out and come back in again, if that helps. But we can't hear you at the moment. I can hear Hassan. Yeah.
While JM tries to
Yeah.
reconnect, can I just
Yeah.
elaborate on the question you asked about the Islamic interpretation? So it's mentioned quite often in terms of how it's prohibited, and it's something to stay far away from, and it's a great sin to be involved in magic, to seek the assistance of a magician. It's a red line, really. You have in the Quran, it mentions, I'm paraphrasing here, how the Temple of Solomon was being built, and some of the people who obviously didn't like King Solomon for their own reasons were accusing him of being a magician, because he had such influence and had the powers to build the temple so quickly. They accused him of being a magician, as an insult, as an accusation, because it's heresy. Not heresy. It's I don't know. I want to use the word kufr, but it's something that it's so severe. As soon as you interact with, it's such a major sin that as soon as you interact, it invalidates your faith in every aspect from an Islamic perspective. Because at that point, once you're dealing with, because the demons do not assist you unless you give up something like your devotion to God. It has to be an exchange. It has to be you worship me, and you humiliate yourself. You worship me. You deny God, and I'll give you my abilities, and I'll assist you. You know, obviously, because they're unseen and they have certain powers, they would you would be able to have influence over others and society and such. But you have to give up your faith. It's a transaction. Magic is transactional. It's just a transaction of your faith. You give up your faith, you get our powers, you get our ability.
Yeah, I believe in that. Jam, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I got
okay.
cut off.
Here you
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe in what you're saying, Hassan, because to me, all it is it's just people wanting to be possessed by demonic beings, and when they are possessed, they are able to do things that demons basically are able to do that humans cannot do. And I think that's all it is. It's just an exchange. That's it. Just like Christians want to be filled with the Holy Spirit, they want to be filled with demonic beings, and of course, they're using their free will to choose these demonic beings to basically take charge of their body and so on, to use their body as a vessel for them to, basically do the devil's bidding, or do whatever the devil wants them to do, to push its agenda. That's what. But the aim is for them to basically be possessed by these demonic beings and be vessels for it. Yeah, Jam, go ahead. You said something about.
Yeah, I was going to make a point about how even within Hollywood, there's always been this fascination with the Bible and spiritual matters also.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
again, it's always corrupted. So I mentioned Superman. Superman is based on Jesus. There's no doubt about it. As I said, and I explain why. So number one, he had Hebrew. If you go to the first Superman, he had a Hebrew name, El Kal or something like Kal El.
Oh wow.
Okay, and his father had a very Hebrew sounding name, Marlon Brando's character, but his name was Kal El, which is very Hebrew sounding. That was Superman's actual name. He was then cast down. Think about the story now. So he was cast down. He was sent to Earth. Okay. He was then raised by two parents who weren't his, who had to keep his powers secret, but they knew about who he was. Okay. Then when did Superman get his powers? When he was 30-something years of age. Does that sound familiar?
33.
Okay. There you go, 33. That's the same age that Jesus started prophesying.
Sorry, before you carry on. Sorry. Kal El translates to light of God in Hebrew.
Right. so then he was a savior for mankind on earth. But then what did they do? They made him become get a girlfriend and have sex with Lois Lane. Then in the other Supermans, he became wicked and evil. In Superman 2 or 3, he became evil. So I'm just saying that they're very good at taking the story from the Bible. And by the way, so many films, Star Wars, all these films are about the Bible. Matrix, all these films, at the deep level, it's about that kind of spiritual element to it.
But it's mockery though. It's not promoting.
Always mockery. It's always mockery. Yeah.
It's like we're gonna take the truth and subvert it and twist it, and yeah.
I also
even a series. Just quickly though, so there was even a series on Netflix about a man who had I think he was from the Arab world, and he had powers, and then they stopped the show after a while. I don't know if you remember this, Hassan. He had powers, and they weren't sure what his powers were.
Okay.
But he was from that part of the world, and after the first season, they stopped it. Because they said that he was potentially trying to be a Muhammad character.
Good.
And you know that the Muslims don't play, so they had to stop the
Listen, I don't want to bring the that group that we can't be talked about on YouTube.
It's not the Muslims and it's not the Christians, right?
It's not the Muslims, not the Christians now.
Those were their themes, by the way. These were their scenes. We call them
Oh,
their scenes.
yeah. And they said they played a prominent and often leading role in much of the historical development of the film industry in the United States.
Interesting.
Now, my question is how much of a role do they play? And if anyone knows, please feel free to share. How much of a role do they play in the building or in the creation of Hollywood?
Just look at all the producers and the directors and the financiers and in any movie. Just wait till the end. Just look at producer,
So
director. Like, okay, they all have similar names.
we have to be careful here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Very
what.
careful. And the reason why we're going to be really careful is because we've spoken about this book called The Learned Elders of Zion, okay, which apparently the Warner.
Oh,
There's a point to say that.
mm.
Now, within that book, it talks about how certain people are trying to corrupt the Western world to bring about their downfall. And it talks about using, films and TV and entertainment to do that. That's what I'm going to say. So when you look at the corrupting influence of films and TV, the agendas that are pushed, um, I mean, we can see that someone or something is clearly has been behind pushing over time, because it's important to know that Hollywood didn't start out completely being corrupted and full of occult messages. It didn't. Um, that started actually with TV. It started with things like The Wizard of Oz and The Wizard of Oz and some of those very what's the other one? Wizard of Oz and what's the one? Yeah, I think that's the main one. That's actually where it started.
In the
And a lot of
1960s, you're
occult,
saying?
yeah, a lot of and the Lion Witch and the
Mm.
Wardrobe. A lot of this. That's where a lot of this occult came into. Films like the Lion Witch and the Wardrobe.
Yeah,
The
but John Mitchell, let me ask you a question.
go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
if you had an agenda, all right, let's say you had a dark agenda, all right, and you wanted to push this dark agenda through the entertainment industry. So you create something like Hollywood film productions, where you can produce films and put it out there, and so on and so forth. And you are hoping that this dark agenda will eventually take hold of the society that that you're trying to corrupt. You're so when you're starting out, it's not a dark place. It's not a, because you're trying to corrupt it. It's not yet corrupted, or it's not yet fully, it's not the way you want it to be corrupted, put it that way. So the way you're going to go about it, but you can't start off with doing something that's completely foreign, or to what people are used to. You have to kind of give them what they want. You have to produce movies that people that are in tune with the times, in order to get that trust from people, right? And then
Mm.
as time goes on, you start you start adding new things. You know what I mean? You start putting new
Mhm.
things, subtle things, and you start introducing it slowly and surely. You're not going to come out with something bang, there you go, the pure evil, and the society is not completely used to it. If you're trying to condition society, if you're trying to condition it, you're going to start slowly. You're going to even start with good movies. You're going to start with something that's great, because I believe that this industry was evil from the very beginning, from its inception. That's what I believe in, and I believe that the way they started, like any, if I'm trying to rob your house, if I'm trying to think, I'm not going to come out and tell you straight up I'm your enemy. I'm here to rob from you. I'm going to be friendly. I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to be blah blah blah. And then I'm going to gain your trust, and then I'm going to violate that trust. That's how it works. So I think the same thing was happening here. That's why at the beginning we didn't see Hollywood really pushing the agenda that they boldly push now. I mean, they don't care. They don't care telling you about how satanic they are these days. They put out blatant satanic movies out. They don't even care about it no more. They tell you about the occult and everything in it. They don't care. But before, when they first started out, they wouldn't have done that. That wouldn't have been the move, because society wasn't used to that. They would have rebelled if they found out that that's how they move it.
And it's interesting you say you start off subtly and slowly but surely. And you start off, from what I've seen, with the kids. The children's films are the best gateway to introduce these ideas. So, for example, I said jinn, and you can communicate with the jinn, some of the ones of them that are the shayateen, and then from there, you can be involved in magic. This is a kids' film about a young man called Aladdin, essentially doing black magic. What he does here is he communicates with a genie, which originally the root word is jinn. Yeah. And then he goes from there to he can fly. He goes from being poor to being rich, and so on and so on. Oh. And this is a kids' film promoting the idea of interacting with the jinn, which is prohibited Islamically. And I'll just play it here.
You know what we should have done? We should have got like a bunch of movies and just analyze how how the whole thing started. How did they get to this
we
point?
Do a part two, Nelson. We do a part two with that.
Yeah, we do part two. And get like a bunch of movies and just show the evolution of it all to what we have today, which will be crazy. Because I always want to do these shows.
But to be fair, we only had the idea yesterday, so nobody had time to edit, pick films.
Yeah, true.
So this is him.
Fair use for educational purposes only.
Yeah, fair use for education purposes. Look at that.
Now you can see the genie has gold rings and such, so he's been captured and by a previous magician and put into that position.
Will Smith as well, isn't it? That's Will Smith as well. There is Will Smith, Nelson. That's who does the voice.
What?
Will Smith does the sequel. Robin Williams does the original.
No, Robbie.
Yeah. Will Smith did this character after.
Yeah, he did the character after. Yeah.
So this jinn is captured and imprisoned in there. He rubs the lamp. He essentially communicates with them, and in exchange, obviously, you know the story. He gives them wishes and such. Wishes are, I will do this for you if you do this for me. In reality, you prostrate to me, and you say that I'm your God, and I will do whatever you want me to do. The reality is they don't actually do what you want them to do. They actually drive you crazy and they make you insane. They do a few things, but this is the whole point of the magician is the most humiliated.
When you think about it,
carry on.
When you think about it, this is actually raw, straight witchcraft. When you really think about it,
that's what we're gonna say.
With the Arab, especially with the Arab setting, where this would be completely frowned upon. Like, what the hell is that coming out? This is actually a demon here.
Yeah, look how big he is.
This is not Islamic. This is demonic.
Part of the world. But it's not. First of all, completely. Bro, the genie is not even human.
He's massive as well.
Spirit.
He's that's
what I'm saying.
He's in a cave as well.
Yeah, it's not. In the caves, those caves, But the thing is, it's not human. That's the first thing. That was the first clue. It's not a human creature. It's not a human being.
It's blue.
So he's communing. He's communing with a demon. Is what
yes.
He's doing. He's communing with a demon. That's what you call it. Essentially, and also he's doing what you call what you do what's called is actually literally selling his soul. Because if you look at the concept of selling your soul, you commune with a demon. And you barter. I'll do this. As Hassan said. I'll do this for you. You do that for me. If I do this, you guys can do that. So that's literally what's happening here. He's communing with a demon, and they're scratching each other's back, which is literally, by the way, how many people progress in Hollywood. If you understand the people that really make it, the actual stars, if you look at what they've done in their private
Ah,
lives and the lives that they live,
yeah,
that's a whole different story.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's basically it's favors, isn't it? That's what Hollywood is known for. It's like if
Mm.
it's almost like they're profiling you. It's almost like if
Yes.
you if you pass if you are profiled and you pass the profiling,
Mm.
then yeah, of course you're gonna have the riches that Aladdin kind of had, the fame, everyone loves him and all of that, so that he can get the girl. But hold on a second, guys. Yeah, that's profiling. That's all it is. It's profiling. And
Guys,
you can't. So hold on, bro.
I'm gonna make this quick point. Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna. I was just gonna say that you have to fit the agenda. Basically, you have to. You have when they see what kind of person you are, whether you can handle certain things or not. It's that's what Hollywood is known for. It's known for favors. You have to kind of fit whatever they are looking for. If you're that kind of person, you're definitely going to make it to the top. But they profile you. They do it for profiling. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
So, sorry, guys, if I interrupt, sometimes I have a delay. So if I interrupt, it's because you guys have spoken, I've heard it. So that's
Oh,
sometimes
no,
what
no, no, don't
happens.
worry about it. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that, bro.
But what I was going to say also is just with regards to this kind of elite, because this is, if you look at the people that are running Hollywood and the people that are featuring in Hollywood, talking about the elites here. And I mean, I don't know, I'm doing this through gritted teeth here, what I'm going to say next, because I don't like the lady. But this Candace Owen has been doing this series recently on and I mean, I don't like the woman, I have to say, but I mean, the work that she's doing recently with this Macron and his wife, and is it a man or a woman? I mean, I wasn't too interested in that side of things because I thought that's a bit kind of silly. But she's been doing this series, and the exposure of the French elite system has been shocking. Like everything, what she's been doing, she's been saying things. I've stopped the video and I've gone to do my research, and I'll come back, and it's all true. For example, she spoke about one of Macron's mentors was an old, very powerful Frenchman. He's still around, and he was Macron's mentor. Um, he, his daughter, stepdaughter, wrote a book, and in this book, she said that he abused her twin brother, sexually abused. Not only that, she said that they used to have these parties, and only the elite of French would go. At these parties, their own children would be dressed up provocatively. We're talking about 10, 11 year olds, and they would have to perform in front of their parents and simulate sexual acts. Little girls would be encouraged to dance with grown men. And this is actually true because the man admitted in the end that he did sexually abuse his stepson. And it made me think these elites are on a completely different moral. This is basically Babylon. These people are. That's why at some level I do believe not in reincarnation, but I do believe that the spirit of people or a type of spirit exists, a demonic spirit, and it goes through generations. It would go from one elite group in history, and then it would go to the next elite group, and then to the next elite group. Because what they were doing there in France is literally what they were doing in Babylon and Greek societies and Roman societies. These debauch parties where there's pedophilia going on and all sorts. And I think this is all tied in with Hollywood. I think Hollywood is basically the playground for these types of people to put out
No, I
their
think
stories, to put out their ideas, to put out their fantasies, and then and then it's just a means to corrupt people at the same time.
I think Hollywood is the force that will kind of like condition people to accept the reality of what the occult practices on the underground. That's what Hollywood is there for. Hollywood is there to help people be okay with things like the pedophiles and all of that type of stuff, right? So they every type of degeneracy that the occult practices, Hollywood is there to normalize it, make excuses for it, um and make
Sensationalize it.
yeah, and make people basically believe that it's not that bad. It's okay. It's freedom. And then it's funny you told that story because that story has I don't know if you've heard of 134 Hampstead here in England. And 134 Hampstead got completely deleted off of YouTube. But basically it was this boy and this little girl who confessed to being I don't think I can say um is it SA uh confessed to being SA'd by their father, and the father was part of this occult. And in this occult they praised the devil, and basically what would happen is she would drop off the kids to school, and then when the mother would go home, because the mother was no longer with the father, what would basically happen is the father will come later, and they would take a bunch of kids out of class, and they would go to this church, and it was one of these what's it called, Anglican churches or something like that. And then they would go into there, and then there they would do this a cult feast, or cult, I don't know what it is, party or whatever. So they would get drunk, they will sacrifice children, not those children there, because they would actually bring in children to sacrifice. They would have sex with each other, all types of, you name it, men with men, women with women, all of that. They would do all of that type of stuff, and that blew up. In fact, there was police, there was because I watched the interviews of the kids, and the kids exposed like 70 names of
Wow.
judges, politicians, you name it. And there was protests outside Hampstead. In Hampstead, there was people protesting. They had picket signs and all of that type of stuff. It was crazy. But YouTube has managed to completely get rid of what do you call it? This because the guy went to court. The guy was on BBC, had an interview in BBC of everything that he was accused of, and you need to watch that BBC. I'll send it to you after. I think it's still there. I think that's the only thing that's still there about that case. But it was very similar, and it was all people, all elites, all people at the top that were basically doing this type of stuff. And these kids were being abused for years. The mother didn't even know. It was only like out of it was by like mistake that she even found out. Like she asked them, says, "What's been happening?" And then they said it. And then the police was involved. All types of madness. But yeah, bro, absolutely 100%. And that what you said about the generation, the same spirit, and all of that type of stuff. That's what they're trying to do, bro. I mean, we do have to ask the question of, what do you think the devil is doing? Like, if you believe in the idea that there is a devil and he's in charge of the world, what do you think he would be doing? So when you think of it like that, it's not hard to fathom. It's not difficult to fathom that he would be using the elites to convert the masses into following him instead of God. It makes perfect sense. And Hollywood is perfect for influencing the masses to change, to normalize evil. To I truly believe, for example, abortion is a way to subconsciously get us to accept child sacrifice in the future. Child sacrifice, like when you look at what's the name of the Moloch, that demon, that powerful demon called Moloch. I believe that, and people used to sacrifice; they would give their children as a sacrifice to Moloch in the Bible. I believe that what they doing today with the abortion thing is to get people, is to desensitize people, to get them to subconsciously start practicing child sacrifice at such a subconscious level, to accept it at a subconscious level. Because if you were to see it in real life, it's kind of shocking. And that's what they're doing. They're slowly pushing people to get there. And Hollywood is a big component of that.
What a lot of
Incredibly,
people have to
Doctor Strange, as the one who is portrayed as Marvel's key man.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that. You know what, Hassan? That was very. I'll tell you what. That Doctor Strange series. I mean,
At
that
both
is
the creation,
open naked witchcraft they're showing on that. They're
Yeah.
actually showing symbols, real spells, real magic words and phrases. I mean, I actually won't allow that to be watched in the house. I won't watch that, and I won't allow that. That's one film that cannot be watched.
Me too.
Right? No way.
So from the older generations, you had the Lord of the Rings series. One of the main heroes being an actual magician, Gandalf the Grey.
Gandalf the Great, yeah.
Gandalf the Sly, more like, I'm joking. And then the other generation, you have Harry Potter. And now in the current generation, you have Marvel. All based in magic, all based in the idea that magic is good. Giving and looking at for example, Lord of the Rings, that's Middle Earth, that's medieval England and medieval Europe. So you can tell by even those that literature that magic was practiced, or the idea of you have the Wiccas and so on, and you have even the witches of old England using holy wood to use that to build their castle, which is very similar to Hollywood. Just a little interesting tidbit for people. But I remember
how many people think that magic is harmless today?
Probably like a lot, 99%.
So what I would say, can I just add on that quickly? If people would really have an understanding of what these people believe, the film that I would encourage everyone to watch is a film called the first Wicker Man film with Edward Woodward. I don't know if anyone's seen that film.
I watched that because of you, bro.
Yeah, Hassan, have you seen it?
I don't do horror films, no.
Okay, right, but it is different. It's not. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
so
magic is horror to me, to be honest. Because I think it's real stuff.
Right. There's a very interesting speech that the chief person, the chief kind of head wizard, whatever you want to call him, he says to the policeman, he says, the guy was a Christian, the policeman was a Christian, and he was offended because he kept seeing a lot of occult practices being practiced on this Scottish island. And he says to him, what about Jesus? Why is that not taught here? And the priest laughed and said, we don't do that here. We believe in the old gods. And that's very important because when you look at Baal and Moloch, do you know Baal and Moloch were worshipped before the Almighty God that we believe in? They were actually around. They were worshipped before by more people before the Almighty God.
Yeah.
So they were actually around this. So when they took about these old gods, they actually talking. So these people believe that the gods that we worship, that's a new god. But they want to go to the source, and then if we go into the source, this is where Gnosticism comes into it too. By the way, that's a different story. But they want to worship the older god. They believe that the power is in the older gods, and they're constantly trying to bring this. They constantly keep these older gods in our subconscious through film. Baphomet, Baal, Moloch, all these old gods are in all the films. All these films we see, The Matrix, Indiana Jones, every Star Wars, even the Darth Vader's helmet is a Moloch. It looks like if you look at the owl thing, Drake with the owl. These are old gods that they constantly put in our faces. Drake with that owl thing. That's Moloch, by the way, everyone. Everyone who is a Drake fan, that owl that he promotes, that's Baal, that's Moloch. Okay? These are things that are constantly promoted in Hollywood and in entertainment. These old gods.
The just to give a slightly just a bit of commentary on what you said. There is the universal God, which is the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, the God of Jesus,
Right.
which is a universal God which transcends all territory. It's a God for the people of Africa, people of Europe, people of Asia, people of every corner of the earth. And the old gods are jurisdictional. So
Yes, that's
Moloch
true.
would not be worshipped in Egypt. They would have
Yeah,
Ra,
yeah.
or in the
That's
UK,
Babylonian god.
yeah,
Canaanite god. It's a Canaanite god.
yeah,
Yeah, Canaanite.
yeah. That's it. And in the UK, you would have other deities and such. When they say the old, what they're doing is they're tapping into the tribal deities, because this is where it comes from. It's demons presenting themselves to a particular tribe through a particular magician.
Principalities.
Yeah, a particular tribe through a particular magician, and then this is your god for your local jurisdiction. That's why in the pre-Islamic civilization of Mecca and Saudi Arabia originally, they would have many gods. So you'd have one god for one city, one god for another city, and such.
You know the name of any of them?
Al-Uzza, and one of the other one, I forget their names, but they're coming back. Those deities are coming back to Saudi Arabia. They've started being worshipped again, because obviously there is Saudi Arabia is under liberalization and secularism, which means that you're free to worship wherever you want to worship and promote it publicly. Yeah, Saudi Arabia's, they have their old Saudi gods coming back as well. Sorry, not Saudi, Arabian gods coming back, Arabian deities. So when they say old, there is no god or deity older than the old that transcends time than the Almighty.
The creator.
Yeah, the ultimate creator. It's just that when they say old, they're saying what our ancestors used to worship. And this is a problem with paganism, and which is the one of the spiritual houses for magic, is that it's very tribal, very nationalistic, very local, anti-universal, nationalist, and that's why you often see the far right in Europe, the most vicious people in Africa and what have you. They all have their own particular deity that they worship, and even with the cartels. In the cartels, they have a particular god for,
they do,
and so on and so on. So it's anti-universal. And it promotes all types of, and you'll see in these traditions, incest being a part of the ritual worship, child sacrifice, a variety of very abhorrent practices that are inspired by the devil ultimately, because magic is a method of humiliating man to make him think he's something special, to have powers. I can fly, I can do this, I can do that, I can see things, I can see people in other rooms, I can do this, I can do that. The trade-off is the spirit, from the Islamic perspective, the jinn, would offer you this opportunity to do such and such in exchange for your own humiliation. And what's happening through popular entertainment, and going back to the Hollywood thing, is it is glorified to pursue the gifts that one would receive through practicing magic, but not stating the sacrifices that one has to go through. In the Islamic world, when a magician is found, they're often sitting around in their own feces or urine, menstrual blood, a variety of filthy things, because you have to the man has to humiliate himself to the spirit, to the jinn, to acquire these powers, because ultimately magic is nothing but a humiliation of man, ultimately.
I would say that they do all work together. I don't think they are nationalistic, as Hassan put it. Maybe, I mean, yes, they are everywhere, and these demons present themselves to these groups of people and all of that type of stuff, and those people kind of like keep keep those deities become their god, so to speak. Yes, I can see why, I can see that aspect of it. But in terms of the ultimate goal, they all have one ultimate goal, and that ultimate goal is being dictated by the devil himself, or who is the leader of all these principalities. Because there's ranks within the demon, within demons. But they have an ultimate goal, and you can see what this ultimate goal is through Hollywood. You can see what they're trying to do. Jesus says you'll know them by their fruits. So you just have to look at what these guys want you to do. So what these guys are doing, and then you can kind of like see, okay, I know where this is all heading. Because there is a purpose, there is a reason, why people are selling. There's no such thing as selling your soul, because the soul belongs to God, but there is a reason why people are choosing to follow the devil rather than God. And they're making a conscious decision, by the way. It's not I'm being fooled into doing it and I don't know what I'm doing. That's not what's happening. People are consciously denying, deny. I'm not saying that the people are not tricked into going into that path. They are, but eventually, once they are confronted with reality, a lot of them are choosing to go with this, with the devil rather than with God. They're making that conscious decision to do so. But ultimately, they all have the same purpose. Ultimately, they all have the same purpose, and we can see how organized it is. I mean, just look at. I mean, just look at the development of. If you're just going to look at Hollywood and how Hollywood has done it, and then look at all the different look at how feminism came about. Look at and just if you just follow, you'll be able to see the similarities. Um, okay, certain things were happening, and then certain movies were coming out at the exact same time, promoting those things. Now we're living in the age of what men can be women, women can be men. Isn't it annoying to go on Netflix and watch a movie and you see these girls beating up, basically playing the role of a man? They're faster than men, they beat up men, and so on and so forth. This is being pushed. That, to me, this is a satanic. It's part of the satanic ideology. And
Babylonian ideology.
Yeah, Babylonian ideology, and we are seeing how both are working together. They are working with the legal system and with the film industry. They are both working together. They both have the same goal. Everything that they're pushing through the film industry, we are seeing being legalized in the real world. So
It's
I
not
sent you,
what I
I
thought.
sent you a video. Sorry, listen to Nelson. I sent him a
you sent me a
video.
video,
You
yeah?
load the video up. Sorry, son.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, son.
Okay, where's the video?
Oh, yeah, sure. Did you want to play a video, JM? Or
Son, keep talking while Nelson loads up the video.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
load up the video.
Oh yeah, just all I want to say is I think the Baphomet, he was a hermaphrodite, one of the Babylonian deities.
Yeah,
half
he is.
man,
He is
half
a
woman.
hermaphrodite. Yep.
Basically a guy with tits or whatever it is.
Well, goat's head. A goat's head.
And after JM's video, I wanted to play my video because my one talks about Aleister Crowley and how he's influenced modern Hollywood.
I don't think he's influenced it. I think he kind of got brought into the club. I don't think he's influenced. I think he kind of found, if he found a system already working and already in place, he kind of just contributed to that system.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It was well in place before.
It was well in place before he even came on the scene.
Yeah.
He's just there to kind of.
But I think JM wanted to play a video or something.
Yeah. No, I'm doing it now. Calm down, man.
So basically, what this video is, I spoke about the Wicker Man and the character that made that statement about the older gods. It was Christopher Lee. Obviously, is a legendary actor.
Yeah.
So
He
I
was
want you to
Count
see
Dooku in Star Wars.
Yes, exactly. And he's played Dracula. He played a lot of dark characters his whole career. But I want you to see his comments um, about the occult. This is
I
him
was gonna I was
as
gonna
a
play this as well. I know the one you're talking about.
right. This is him. Have you seen it, Nelson?
Up in the back there?
Yeah. Can you guys see it? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen this before, Nelson?
No, I haven't. This is going to be my
Yeah.
first
So,
time.
so,
This
so
this
this
was
is
gonna be
Christopher
in
Lee.
this is gonna be in my
This is the
final
guy.
thoughts.
Yeah. This is the guy that played the character I talk about in Wicker Man, Nelson. Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
So this is
yeah.
him being this is him being interviewed. This is what he says here.
Is that the first Wicker Man?
Yeah, that's the main. Remember the guy at the end. Remember the main guy in the Wicker Man.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
that's
That's
him.
the guy. Yeah,
That,
he looks
yeah,
familiar.
that's
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
All
that's him
right.
as an older man, obviously. Listen
Up
to
in
what
the
he
back
said.
there?
It's well known that you have a huge interest in the occult and one of the largest collections of books on that.
I don't have a huge collection. Somebody wrote I had 20,000 books. I'd have to live in a bath. I have maybe 4 or 5. I have
But listen to the name of
The
the
Devil
book.
Rides Out, first edition,
Hold on, what did
signed
he
to
say
me
about the
by
book?
Dennis Wheatley.
He
Go
said
back and
someone
listen
wrote
to the name of the
20,000
book.
books.
So the guy said, I heard you had 20,000 books of the occult. He said, no, I don't. I have only 4 or 5. But I want you to listen to the names of the books that he has, okay? Listen very carefully to the names of the books he has.
All right.
There's a book just come out. I have The Devil Rides Out, first edition, signed to me by Dennis Wheatley. There's a book just come out about him called The Devil is a Gentleman. And I have met people who claimed to be Satanists, who claimed to be involved with black magic, who claimed that they not only knew a lot about it, but as I said, I've certainly never been involved, and I warn all of you, never, never, never. You will not only lose your mind, you lose your soul. I don't have a big library in the account, no. I know, look, the internet and the media, if they can't think of something to do, they invent it. If they can't think of something to say, they invent it. I don't know who thought that one up. Looks good in print, I suppose, but it's not true.
Yeah, so that's why there's a couple of interesting points. I've always found that is very number one, it shows you that he does have an interest in the occult. That's the first thing. Because number one, you wouldn't have those type of books. And how would he know or have contact with all these people that he said that were deeply involved in the occult? Why would he have those people in his life? He also turned around and said, don't do it. That was the key part. Don't do it. It will ruin your life and soul. What does that tell you? That number
Did you
one,
see
that
the
he knows it's
Did you see the
real.
fear in his eyes, bro? Did you see the fear in his eyes?
Yeah, I saw it. He's seen things, and I believe he's been communing with devils. I believe he has been himself. And the fear of that made him stop doing it, and he's giving you a warning: don't do it. Now, to me, that's one of the craziest interviews I've ever seen, because this is a guy Nelson that made his career playing demonic characters or people involved in the occult, which showed you that why would they always choose this guy to do these roles? Because he must have had the reputation. And he's telling you, yes, sir. And look at the name of the book: The Devil is a Gentleman. The Devil Rides Out. These are the type of books he had in his home. And then he's showing you that he was around people that were Satanists. What was he doing around people that were self-confessed Satanists? But to me, the key part was when he said, as you said, Nelson, the fear. When he said, don't do it, it will ruin your soul. That was someone speaking from experience.
Yeah, you don't speak with that much conviction if you
As
don't
an
have,
old man too.
yeah, if you don't have first-hand experience.
He's,
Um, he obviously has first-hand experience. He's obviously has seen it. He has probably, I'm thinking he has participated in it. There's way too much fear in his eyes, and for him to say
Yeah.
don't you will you lose your soul, it's like, bro, now you're, that's not how a person who knows about that will
Thank you.
speak about it. They will not refer to the soul. They will not
It's
do
too
any.
personal. Too
Yeah, it's
personal. He knows
way
too
too
much.
personal. Way too. He knows way too much
He knows
for him.
way too much.
Way too much for
Yeah.
his own good. And
Yeah.
and the thing is, his life attests to that as well, because he's been around it. He's been around all his life. He's written books. He's written books. He's done movies. Of course, he's been around it, and he's met with real, like he said,
Yeah.
real Satanists that practice
Yeah.
real, you know.
Yeah.
So
Black magic, he said. His own words.
so he has encountered it. He has
But
encountered
that
it.
tells me that he was in a cult secret society. That's basically what we're talking about here. This is a guy that was he's an old man, privileged elitist as well. Don't forget that. And he has been definitely involved through his whole life I believe, in secret societies. And see what happens with these guys, Nelson? At the old age, that's when they realize we shouldn't have done this.
Shouldn't have done this. Yeah.
yeah, the word occult.
As you said, Hassan, sorry Hassan to cut you, but as you said, Hassan, you said that the ritual, the path is they get involved and then they become humiliated by the demon. The demon shows them, this is basically your lot is that you're going to be ruined after all of this. And I took advantage of you. And he comes across as a guy that's gone through the whole passage. And he's at the end of his life now, when the demon showed him, now you're going to just die now. And he's like, yep, I've been through it all. Don't do it.
He's given appropriate advice. He said never, never, never get involved. He said it 3 times. The word occult actually means hidden and secret. And this is the spiritual nature of the occult. It's hidden. It's in secret. It's in the dead of night. It's probably in the woods, or probably in a cabin, or probably in somebody's home. Somebody who can keep a secret, who can hide what you're going to see, because what you're going to see, you're not going to forget. And you're going to have to sacrifice a lot to get to that point, whether it be certain rituals, whether it be slicing the, I don't want to go into too much detail, but slicing the neck of a rooster or something, shedding certain blood, sacrificing maybe a young child if you want to get up to a certain level. And it's all meaningless things, because there is no spiritual power in humiliating yourself. It's simply the way of the demon going back to the devil from the Islamic perspective and saying, look what I got him to do. I got him to do such evil acts. Now he's guaranteed his position in hell. That's all it is. It's a transactional way of humiliating mankind. It's a power of the unseen over the human realm. And any human who wants to interact with that may gain some powers, I guess. Nothing of great virtue or anything that stands the test of time, because going back to the story of Moses, from the Islamic perspective, Moses is there standing in front of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh presents his magicians, and his magicians present a snake, and then Moses throws down his staff. His staff swallows up the snakes. His staff turns into a snake, swallows the other snakes, and then goes back to being a staff. Now, in the Islamic tradition, at that point, the 3 magicians prostrate and they say, we worship the God of Moses. And then Pharaoh says, well, how dare you humiliate me in this way? I'm going to kill you. And they say, we don't care. If you're going to kill us, because we've seen the truth. Now, the truth there is that the snake that Moses had, the staff that Moses had in his hand, that turned into a snake, swallowed up the staffs of the magicians, because magic ultimately is beguiling the eyes to make it perceive that something special is happening. There is some real power involved, but there isn't. As soon as they recognized it, they said, well, this guy really is a messenger of God. That's the meaning behind the story. This guy really is a servant of God. We have no power. Our tricks and our sorcery means nothing ultimately. And there's nothing you could do to us, because we're going back to we know the power of God in its true form. Yeah, so that's the point I wanted to make.
I would say there's real power in it. Of course, nothing compared to God's power, but I would say power in the sense that people can attain riches, can attain status, can attain can attain importance. There's real power in the sense that it can have a real effect on your life. It can have a real impact on your life. But one thing that we haven't talked about is where people are in that order. There's people that are way more they are more in the know than others, especially going back to the to Hollywood, the film industry. Not everyone is on the same level, and not everyone will make it to that level at the top. And this is where the profiling comes from. What are you willing to do? What are and a lot of them, people use the terminology sell their souls, but I think what's happening is they're actually moving up, up the ladder, so to speak, in order to in order to actually have that real experience, to encounter that real experience. And I think that's what's happening in Hollywood. Not everyone is on the same level. Not everyone is in the know of what's really going on, especially the newbies that are just coming in. But everyone eventually, it's funny how a lot of actors have come out and they have shared their experiences, and a lot of them, you can tell who's in, who knows, and who doesn't. And even the ones who doesn't say there's something there that's disturbing, that's weird. There's something about Hollywood it's not right with me. It didn't sit well with me, and those people don't progress. Those people eventually they just fade out. And and then there's the others who do progress, who do go on to become. And I'm not saying that everyone that has a big role is necessarily in the club, but I think that's what we that's important to know, because not everyone knows.
It's important to keep in mind also is that this is very important to, and this is something that I'm sure you guys have noticed. The top stars in Hollywood, the top people, they refuse to all grow old gracefully. It's that very few of them, they do everything in their power to retain their youthful looks. Now that in itself is occultic. If you understand the real, what they call internal alchemy and philosopher's stone, which is what Harry Potter was about. That philosopher's stone. You guys know that book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard
that book.
Yeah.
So the Philosopher's Stone was the attempt by ancient alchemists in
Incredibly,
Saudi
Doctor
Arabia.
Strange, as the one who is portrayed as
Yeah, go ahead.
It was an attempt to basically immortality. It was an attempt to create some type of elixir, they call it, that would allow people to not. Yeah. So that's what the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone was what they call like the journey. It was called the Philosopher's Stone. Now I always used to say to people, what child would have any clue about what the hell that's about? But you're calling a child's book Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Well, the Philosopher's Stone has deep occultic side meaning, but that's what they call in a child's book. That told me straight away about J.K. Rowling and what she's about. J.K. Rowling is a high-ranking witch, by the way. J.K. Rowling, high-ranking witch. J.K.
And
Rowling.
hold on, and another thing as well, guys. Yeah, this is interesting as well. You know what these stars, the promise that God basically gave, according to the Bible, what God gave to Adam is that they can become like gods if they eat from the tree. So the temptation
And
is
never
to be,
die.
and then they never die. Of course, if you become like God, you never die, right? So that's the promise. That's what they're being tempted
Right.
with. And it's funny
Right.
how when you get to Hollywood, what are they called? Stars. They're called
They don't
stars.
age.
No,
Look at Johnny Depp.
idols. Sorry,
Look at Tom
idols.
Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, yeah. They're called idols.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Idols.
An idol
Idol
is
worship.
idol worship. Is a form of you
Idolatry.
worshiping. Yeah, is idolatry. Is a form
Idolatry.
of you worshiping a deity. That's what it
Yeah.
is. And a deity is like is worshiping some kind of a god, some kind of a god, or some kind of gods, right? And that's exactly what they promise. This is why it's so enticing. This is why a lot of people fall for it. They fall for it because of that of what Adam and Eve promised right at the beginning, of what the devil promised to Adam and Eve. Oh, you're going to become like gods. And that's exactly, and it's funny how they're called idols, stars and idols and so on and so forth. They're given these names, and these names kind of match up with the whole deity becoming a deity thing.
But look at this goes over most of people's heads. You have, what's that show? Idol something. What's it called? The Stephen
American Idol, Pop Idol.
Think of that. It's in your face.
In your
Idol.
face, yeah.
American Idol. Do people have any idea what the word idol comes from? They have no understanding that idol is a pagan thing. It's idolatry. That's where idol comes from.
That's where idol comes
And they
from,
put
yeah.
it in your
Idolatry.
face.
Yeah. That's exactly, and look at how many people are dying to meet these guys. They literally worship these guys because that's one of the Hollywood's promise. Hollywood will give you that feeling that you are some kind of a god, and I think it's when you have that feeling, it's when you have that almost that intensity, that I am a god type thing, when everyone is after you, everyone is saying that you are capable of doing things like child sacrifice, that you are capable of doing all these type of things because you feel as if you have the power of God himself. And go ahead, bro.
And this is how you know when when you have people that are on that cusp of becoming godlike. When they start having their fans call the name that is like a abbreviation of that. For example, Beyonce has the beehives, and I can't think of other ones at the moment. But you get these stars, and the people that follow them are called, like Tyler Perry has her own version of it, where the fans that she have are called after the person, and that is literal the same as worship. It's God worship. You have your idol up there, and you call yourself after them, and you worship them.
And you worship
bow
them,
at their altar.
Yeah, you buy the
look at Beyonce's concerts are literally full of idol worship. Full of it. Her actual concerts. If people are being hypnotized in the concert, people are being they're being conditioned psychologically in the concert. They're being inducted in her concerts.
Yeah.
The actual religious events, Beyonce's concerts.
They are religious.
They're
satanic religious events. Yeah.
They're spiritual events.
Hassan, go ahead, play that video. Yeah, they are satanic religious events. Yeah, spiritual events. That's exactly what they are. Yeah, Hassan,
incredibly, Doctor Strange, as the one who is portrayed as Marvel's key man to fight against God at both the creation of the universe and the end times, had a test run prior to his existence to see if the world was ready for a superhero modeled by Satanist Aleister Crowley in the form of Dr. Droom, not to be confused with Dr. Doom. Dr. Droom, as the Sorcerer Supreme, was a precursor to the one who would eventually be recast as Doctor Strange just 2 years later. Now notice the obvious resemblance between the magician Dr. Droom in his first appearance in 1961 and the obvious resemblance to Satanist and magician Aleister Crowley. There's no doubt once you examine the facts that Dr. Droom and later Dr. Strange were based on Satanist Aleister Crowley. In his Marvel origin story, Dr. Droom, like Aleister Crowley, is British. Like Crowley, he desires to go to the East for more occult knowledge. He states that he wants to acquire first-hand knowledge and learn about the mystical arts and practices. Like Crowley, Dr. Droom actually goes all the way to the Himalayas. Crowley made repeated infamous trips to the Himalayas, one in 1902 where he waved his revolver at other climbers and insisted he take his occult library up K2. Crowley returned to the Himalayas in 1905 when 4 members of his team fell to their deaths. He didn't even respond to their cries for help. He wrote that he had no sympathy for them and that he had passed their dead bodies later without even stopping. These deaths would be but a few of the many mysterious deaths that followed Crowley in his wicked wake, including several suicides and many professed child sacrifices. In Dr. Droom's origin story, he goes to visit an alien Tibetan Lama who needs medical attention. He will only find years later that the ancient Lama is the Ancient One in disguise. The Lama makes Dr. Droom face a series of trials to prove himself because he is dying and wants Dr. Droom to follow in his footsteps as the master of black magic. In a reprint of Dr. Droom's original Amazing Adventures, Dr. Droom reappears with a new look and a new name as Dr. Druid. Here we see that Dr. Droom is now given some hair, so he is no longer made to look like Aleister Crowley. Perhaps because by the 1970s, too many people were now aware of who the Satanist was, and they would have made the damning connection that Marvel was glorifying a perverted Satanist and professed child killer in popular children's comics. Like Satanist Aleister Crowley, who was known for synthesizing various forms of Western magic with Eastern mysticism, Dr. Droom, and/or Druid, learns how to integrate both Western and Eastern occultism. In the retelling of Dr. Droom's origin story, he is not only a Brit that goes to the Himalayas to study the occult, but like Crowley, we read that the Tibetan tells him, "Within you, Dr. Druid, lies the power of the ancient Britons, and with my added knowledge of the East, you could never fall prey to the unknown. Do you accept my gift of wisdom?" Satanist Aleister Crowley, as you can see, also used the eye in the triangle as a symbol of the new eon of the hawk-headed god of Horus. When Crowley wrote his Book of the Law, he claims to have taken dictation from a demonic entity called Aiwass, who he later identifies as Satan himself. Near the end of the Book of the Law, Horus, or Satan, declares, quote, "With my hawk's head, I peck out the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross." Thus, the Eye of Horus was symbolic of the new satanic age and the rise of the Antichrist. Here we see that Dr. Droom, now called Dr. Druid, like Crowley, also used the occult symbol of the eye in the triangle. We see this symbol over and over again in depictions of Dr. Droom. Of course, the eye in the triangle was later worked into the supreme sorcerer Dr. Strange's attire as well, but then called the Eye of Agamotto instead of the Eye of Horus. Calling it the Eye of Horus would have been just too obvious. Stan Lee, who said he always liked Dr. Droom, further stated, "And one day, while we were trying to think of some new heroes, I thought I'd like to bring back a magician. And I gave him the name Dr. Strange." Even Wikipedia got this one right, stating, according to Lee, Dr. Droom was essentially succeeded by Dr. Strange. However, while Dr. Strange was no longer bald like Dr. Droom, or even balding like Droom's retelling as Dr. Druid, Stan Lee still created Dr. Strange in the image of the Crowleyan Dr. Droom as the supreme sorcerer. They even blatantly borrowed major elements from Dr. Droom's origin story, which again mirrored much of the life of Satanist Aleister Crowley. Like Dr. Droom, Dr. Strange goes to visit the Ancient One. Though no longer disguised as a Tibetan Lama, Dr. Strange, like Dr. Droom, also goes to the Himalayas. This time to a place called Kamar Taj, described as, quote, "a hidden land high in the Himalayas." However, this time rather than going to give medical attention, as Dr. Droom did, Dr. Strange goes to receive medical attention for his mangled hands, which were harmed in a car accident. Like Dr. Droom, the arrogant Dr. Strange must pass a test before he is conferred with the power of black magic. Note in this comic how Dr. Droom, or Druid, is told that he was the precursor to Dr. Strange, and how Dr. Druid responds by stating, "But I never imagined I was simply a test run for Dr. Strange."
That was a great breakdown.
That was very interesting.
Yeah. You've got a lot of characters that are directly linked to the occult in the Marvel series. You've got Doctor Strange, who's a magician, Scarlet Witch, who's a witch. You've got Iron Man, who's said to be the son of Satan in reality, because his mother had a relationship with Mephisto. So Iron Man is the son of Satan. You have a few others that come to mind, but the idea of Marvel, or you have even the catchphrase of Stan Lee, which is Excelsior, which is known to be associated with the occult and magic. So in modern media and cinema and Hollywood, there is a direct link between the most interesting characters in comic book movies and the occult.
Also, Iron Man is also represents Cain. I don't know if you guys realize Cain.
Okay.
So do you know that Cain's family were the first ones to get involved in metal work? This is in the Bible, by the way. It talks
I
about
heard
how
about that. I heard about that.
have you heard of that, Nelson? Yeah.
Mm.
That's Iron Man, by the way. If you look at the first Iron Man, he's in a cave and he starts just getting metal together and creating that that that, that first Iron Man and he's in the Middle East, by the way. This is interesting. So he's in the Middle East in a cave and he just starts to use metal and then creates a weapon and kills everyone on the way out. So that has I've always thought that very interesting that he has that kind of that cane and that metal that thing that kind of affinity with metal. And as I said, these one thing you have to understand with Hollywood, there's nothing these guys do for no reason. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a symbol. Jordan Maxwell spoke about this. The importance of symbolism to these people is you have no idea how important it is. It gives them life. It's almost like a form of worship if they don't have symbols. They need to have symbols. Everything has to have a symbol. Superman needs to have a symbol. Mickey Mouse needs to have a symbol. The Matrix film needs to be full of symbols. Star Wars, full of symbology. Um, yeah, it's really shocking. When you understand how important symbols are to these people, you really start to see everywhere. And Marvel is probably been the biggest, because they're the biggest franchise. Well, they're not anymore, but they were. That Thanos. So who do you think Thanos was supposed to be? Think about who Thanos was. I'll let you guys think about who Thanos was.
Santa Claus.
Thanos.
Thanos. You can think about who he was.
Oh, Thanos.
I have no idea.
In Gnosticism, if you understand the Gnostic, and one day we used to do a video on Gnosticism. If you understand what Gnosticism believe, that there was a God before the Almighty God, there's another God, and that God is the perfect God, and through an argument he had with some other deities or conflict with himself, the Almighty God that we believe came from that. That's who Thanos represents. That's who Thanos. When you understand the Gnostic belief system, Thanos fits into that. By the way, the whole Matrix is all Gnosticism too. It's all Neo is also Jesus, the great architect of the universe. You remember when he went to that guy with the pen? What was he called? The architect. Yeah.
Oh, the architect. The architect.
So you know the Masons called God the great architect of the universe. That's literally what the Masons call God. Have you heard of that, Hassan? That's what they call God. They call God. You can look this up.
The architect.
Masons call God the great architect of the universe.
Okay.
And who Neo went to see was the architect.
Okay.
And by the way, this Gnosticism, they don't believe in Jesus. They believe in a Christ consciousness. So they believe that through time there's been different Christs coming in. It's the consciousness that goes from one to the other to the other. That's what Matrix was. Remember Neo wasn't the only one, as it were. There were other ones that came before him and will come after him.
Yeah.
Bro, that's why I said these guys, they're very deep. Their thinking is very deep, and it's all about these old, like magical, symbolism. That's what these guys are into. And the more you study, the more it comes to you. You start to realize, but these guys are actually
I'm gonna
dabbling themselves to know about.
I'm gonna make a point and start studying. I'm gonna make a point and start studying this. I'm gonna go back to studying this.
Guys, we need to do a video on Gnosticism. I've got the perfect one, by the way, but we need to. When we do this video on Gnosticism, what they believe, so many things are going to make sense to you guys. Trust me.
Gnosticism. All right.
So many, yes, so many. What they really believe, and it's shocking that what they believe. But when you understand what they believe, everything's going to make sense.
Interesting. Oh, Hassan, you say something?
Yeah, I was just when he said the Matrix it's basically what do you call it? From the biblical perspective, it's basically what do you call it? Plagiarizing the biblical perspective a lot. I mean, they've got they've got Zion as the place where human beings are.
Yeah.
You've got the ship that they're in is called the Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
No, the Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Nebuchadnezzar was Nimrod's
dad.
Nimrod's son.
Oh,
Or
son.
dad. No, Nimrod's dad. Dad or son. But there's a lineage there.
Yeah.
He was part of Nimrod's lineage.
And I think Agent Smith is meant to be the devil or something, or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's very much plagiarized, and it's very
the Oracle as well. The Oracle.
Yeah, the Oracle. Yeah.
By the way, you know the Merovingians were a French dynasty.
Yeah.
So the Merovingian
as a French accent
in real life, that's a French dynasty.
Wow.
That's a French family who believe. So there's a belief out there that some of these occultists believe that Jesus. Nancy, you might have heard of this. That Jesus had a child with Mary Magdalene. That child was smuggled out of Jerusalem and into France. And his son had obviously grew up, and the lineage was called the Merovingian lineage. That's where that Merovingian comes from.
Oh.
The belief that Jesus actually had a child, and the child was smuggled to France, and that's what they were called the Merovingians.
So you can see the tradition of magic and the importance of magic being there amongst the Middle Eastern tradition, the Western European tradition, the African tradition, through various stories. Magic, and it's the occult, really, which is the interaction with, the practicing of magic, is something that has been a part of human civilization since the beginning, going back as far as you can see, going beyond language, culture, whatever religion you may have. It's something that comes up repeatedly throughout human history. And what can motivate this practice universally across a variety of civilizations? It is a demonic force. It's the devil going from one civilization to the next, promoting these particular ideas, or the demons promoting these particular ideas and these practices, and those practices coming out through these variety of cultures. Magic is as old as civilization, and it's always been worn by those of a monotheistic religious belief system. It's always been the opposition or to faith, to the connection to God, because you're connecting to a spirit. You're interacting with the jinn or whatever, but it's through the incorrect way, and it's prohibited.
Yeah, do you know what's funny is, though, a lot of people don't understand about this, is that they view the occult, for example, they view the God of the Bible as the devil. They have it backwards. They think that the real God, they think that Satan is the real God, and what you call it, and Yahweh is the deceiver. That's the way so they actually look at us as Satanists. So to them, I would be a Satanist, and they would be the real one. So what they try to do is subvert, is basically, and of course they can't come out and do it in public right now, but I think the ultimate goal is the same way, for example, when you look at the golden age of Christianity, when when everyone was kind of worshiping Christianity and so on. Not the way it's being subverted now, but they want a similar thing to happen. They want the public, they want the world to actually accept it, accept just the same way they accept Christianity. They want the world to accept it in the exact same way and practice it in public in the exact same way where there's no issues. And they are slowly doing it in a subconscious way, but to get people to start getting ready to accept this new religion. That what's his name? I forgot what his name is. The thing he talks about in his book is the 33rd Mason. Albert Pike, that he talks about bringing about the new religion. So the new, the devil, basically bringing him to the public, so that everyone can actually see what he looks like. I think you guys call it the Dajjal in your tradition, your religion, thingy. And then this is who you guys say that Jesus is supposed to defeat. But I'm thinking that's the case there with you guys.
It's funny because that book I saw I've got that book about the Dajjal, and on that book, I think I showed Hassan that book one time.
Yeah.
On that book, he actually has the Masonic eye and triangle on it.
Because in the Islamic tradition, he's meant to literally have one bad eye and one good eye.
Right.
Oh, one bad eye, one good eye.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one bad eye, one good eye.
That's actually very interesting. Actually, he said that.
Yeah, one bad eye, one good eye.
There's a lot of characters out there that have that, and also Hollywood, the stars, they keep doing this thing of hiding one eye. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
Oh yeah.
Pose, a lot of these guys, they hide one eye. Have you noticed that they hide one eye?
Yeah, they hide one eye. Everyone. Yeah.
All your famous stars just put in that in Google, hiding one eye, and you'll see all of your famous stars posing with them covering one eye.
Yeah, that's the Prophet Muhammad said all of the prophets warned. This is a hadith. He said all the prophets before me warned about the Antichrist, and the Antichrist being a big test for mankind coming near the end of time. But I will tell you something that they didn't tell you, is that he has one eye. It's a very famous hadith.
Interesting. Well, there's something to it, I think, because all these occultists, they have this issue about showing one eye, and if you look at a lot of these stars, there's loads of pictures of them covering one eye.
Even I think he has got one eye on his chest.
Do you think it could mean the so-called bad eye is kind of like represents the religion as it's hidden, and the one eye represents the devil who's always watching?
From the Antichrist Islamic perspective, it's literally his left eye. So the left eye, one could interpret it as his right eye is the bad one. The right eye could be representing seeing the spirituality, the spiritual world. The left eye being the earthly world. One could interpret it that way. That he's blind to the spiritual world, and those who are blind to the spiritual world, the reality of the spiritual world, being led easily by materialistic and the worldly life. Because that's what magic is. It's an exchange. It's give me some power now, so I will sacrifice my afterlife in exchange for that. So it's rejecting the eternal afterlife or whatever good you get from there, and exchanging it for this life, and obviously doing all types of evil to make that transaction. Because you can't pay the spirits. You can't say, here's £100, give me a lift to the moon or something. It's more of a case of, I reject God. Can you now give me this, that, and the other, or cast a spell on someone? I actually wanted to play a video of a person actually no, I was going to play a video of somebody being possessed, but maybe it's not suitable.
Yeah, funny. Yeah. No, but I find it, a lot of people tend to look at them as bad people, or the Satanists are bad, or the occult is bad. But that's not how they look at themselves. They think they the good ones. So what you have is two groups that think they the good ones. They doing what is good. They doing what is right, which is interesting. Which is very, 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 very interesting. So it's not a situation of there being bad and good. Is that they both think that they doing what is good.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
You
I'll
don't
tell you
agree?
why. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because they
I
do it in
hope.
secret.
Hold on, bro. Hopefully, John Michelle will come back soon. John Michelle, you kind of you disconnected. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
The reason I think they know it's not good because they do it in secret.
They do it in secret.
Yeah, they do it in the dead of night. It's called the occult. And if they knew if it was good, they would do it in public.
No, no, that's the thing. And when it comes to who's always been in power, uh, has always been who they would consider to be the bad ones. So they would say those ones have always been in power. So that's the reason why they do it in secret. So that's always been the relationship up to a certain extent. I think in the beginning they were in power, or people, the majority of people were practicing until God revealed himself to humanity, and humanity chose God. So what you have is so they went into hiding. They went into hiding, and then and of course what they're trying to do is subvert and get back into power again. And it's not that they want to be hidden, because the purpose is not to be hidden, is to eventually be out in the open and to get people to accept them and practice it as normal. I think most people right now, whether they know it or not, they are following the occult. They are following what the occult teaches. So people are actually celebrating the devil without or in a subconscious level. I believe that being atheists, follow secularism, all of these are just branches of the occult, and people are doing this without even knowing about it, without even being
Nelson,
pushed.
I sent you a video if you don't mind putting it on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is going to be my that's the last video for me.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to say something. When you talk about subversion, one of the biggest examples of that was the Olympics, when they did at the Olympics with the Last
yeah,
Supper thing.
yeah,
That's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
yeah.
Um,
That was
that's a
perfect.
perfect example.
That's
But
exactly.
this video that you're going to put out now, it shows you about the significance of the one eye, because it's very interesting what Hassan said about that one eye. Um, that's actually quite interesting. I didn't know
Hold
that's what you guys are.
we'll play this video, and then we'll yeah, we'll leave it there. But
Call it an evening.
call it a V. No, no, I want to keep doing these series. I want to keep researching this. I want to keep getting to the bottom of this. I want to keep and I want to see the progress. Hold on a second. I'm just sending it to my email, and then I'm gonna start sharing it
If
out.
we carry on this topic, they'll send out their spirits.
Nah, bro.
But
I'm
hold on,
okay.
I don't want to see that video, Hassan. Like, can you describe what you were going to play? I do not want to see it. No. Can you
I'll send it
describe
to you.
it?
I'll send it to you.
No, don't.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty. It scares me. I was gonna play it and then leave the room.
Is it in a is it where was it set? First
It
of all,
was
what
set.
country?
It's all in the UK. You don't see anything. It's just what happens is I'll describe it to you if you want. Basically, what happens is so a lady calls in to speak to an imam. Clive, you can just pause it for a second, Oscar. Thank
Yeah,
you.
hold on.
So I recently.
Yeah,
I
bro.
just want to
Sorry.
describe to JM what happens in the video.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll put it in the group chat anyway. You don't have to watch it. So basically, a lady calls in to an imam, and she says, and it's all in English. She says, "Oh, I've been possessed by the jinn or demons, because I meant to go to court to give witness to some guys that I witnessed a crime and such." And she says, "Oh, I'm having difficulty times, sleeping or things like this, blah blah." And then while she's talking, the demon starts speaking, and just starts, and then she's got like a weird voice, and then the imam's talking to the spirit while the spirit's speaking through her, and they're telling the imam, "We're never going to let her go. We've been sent by such and such back." She's Pakistani, and the imam, I think, is an Arab. I think he's Egyptian or something. So basically, the situation is that a few criminals hired a magician to put spirits on her to stop her from giving witness in court for her crime, for their crimes.
Wow.
And it's,
Yeah,
when you hear the voice coming out of her, it's like, ooh, this is.
I won't be hearing it. So I definitely will not be hearing that.
It's pretty horrible.
Yeah, I don't hear that. Nelson, go ahead with the video.
Bro, just send it in the chat. Yeah,
All right, cool.
Yeah, I want to see that shit.
I'll put it on loudspeaker.
It was so horrible. I
Speed
had to
of me.
stop watching it.
Disconnected.
I'll put it on loudspeakers, bro.
ODD TV.
Fair use. Educational purposes only.
So I recently watched this movie called American Satan. This film was made by Sumerian Films, which is also Sumerian Records, a record label with many artists under its belt. Anyway, this movie was about a young rock band called The Relentless that drop out of college to move to the Sunset Strip to chase their dreams. These kids live out of their van while hunting down live venues to perform their songs and make themselves known. Struggling from day to day, they keep running into an enigmatic old man that says strange things. First, when they arrive in California,
John 7:24. Stop judging by mere appearances and instead judge correctly. Can I show you boys around town?
then they run into him again a little while later.
Do you know how long I've been stuck here in this vessel, waiting for you four dicks to show up? Do you know how long? What the fuck?
Then they keep hustling and trying to make headway, playing shows and barely scraping by. Then, yet again, they come face to face with the mysterious man. Only this time, he's rolling in style, and he gives himself away.
Sorry. Who the hell are you? Use your imagination, dude. It's not what you feel, but what you see.
Whole devil worshipping thing's all fake. It's a shock value, tongue-in-cheek marketing gimmick.
You know, let's ask Vic's Bible-hugging mom, huh? Shall we? Anyway, let's go on inside and have that drink.
They go inside to sit down and have drinks and talk business.
This is my favorite table. Done a lot of business at this booth.
Oh, come on, guys. Don't actually believe this fucking bullshit, do you?
Yeah, I mean, why us?
Because I believe in you. I know you came out here because you know what you're capable of. So do I.
Pop stars, they're the ones who influence the masses. We're just a rock band.
Pop stars are so fucking boring. Anyway, I've got most of them.
Like who?
Jay-Z, Empire State of Mind. I love that lyric. Jesus can't save you. Life starts when the church ends. And then his little protege, Kanye. You know, I put him on the front of Rolling Stone magazine with a crown of thorns on his head. Total fucking blasphemy.
Okay, right, look. Why exactly a band like us?
Rock and roll, heavy metal. You know, you guys, you're so loyal to me. You wear me on your sleeve.
Fucking mental.
Have you ever seen Iron Maiden? They filled stadiums full of their fans, singing along to songs like The Number of the Beast. Or what about Van Halen? Running with the Devil, the Stones, Sympathy for the Devil. I'm not saying I'm Satan. Just saying the devil is a catchy lyric.
If that was all real, they would never put it out in the open.
Check this out. See this? The pyramid in the eye. Do you know what that signifies?
Illuminati.
What does that writing say?
He favors our undertaking.
Yes, I do. And this?
New Order of the Ages.
Novus Ordo. Yeah. You know, the best place to keep a secret is right in front of someone.
All right. Fine. I'm a believer.
Are you speaking for everybody? All right, I'll take one. We perform a ritual ceremony. And then I will make you international icons.
What's the ritual?
Something very simple. Human sacrifice.
Ugh.
Oh, come on.
No fucking way.
Needless to say, they agree to the ritual sacrifice, and boom! They blow up and become the most popular band overnight with their debut album, American Satan. American Satan is AS. AS is 119, right? Backwards, it's 9/11. This album also reminds me of Marilyn Manson's album, Antichrist Superstar. American Satan, Antichrist Superstar. Both pretty much the same. Superstar, you could replace the word American with superstar, right? Everybody in America is a superstar or wants to be one. And Satan, Antichrist. So American Satan, Antichrist Superstar. Both very similar. Both AS 9/11. And let me say this, maybe these numerical outcomes or similar name patterns weren't devised by man sitting around in a room going, let's put this in there, let's make sure this is that, but rather the Matrix is speaking to us, and at times through us. Reality itself, whatever it is heavily coded with hidden knowledge and messages when you're able to read between the lines. So anyway, the lead singer of The Relentless is cleverly named Johnny Faust, as in Dr. Johann Georg Faust, a German astronomer, alchemist, and magician from the mid-1400s. Just decades after his death, he became the subject of a folk legend where a man makes a pact with the devil in exchange for worldly pleasures and unlimited knowledge. This legend has had many adaptations over the centuries, leading all the way up to today. In fact, there is a 1994 Faust movie by Jan Zvankmajer. On the cover for the movie, the Faust character is using his hand to cover up one of his eyes. Very interesting, right? Being that we constantly see this among famous people, Hollywood icons. Pop music stars. The fashion industry. Movie posters. Movie covers. Album covers. Magazine covers.
basically the entire
Music videos.
Yeah, the whole industry, bro. It's actually crazy. Absolutely crazy. Not a
Products
coincidence.
they sell at the grocery store. Ads for department stores.
Well, you can pause it if you want, Nelson.
Oh
But
my
that's
days.
so crazy. That's the crazy. That's, I mean, who could deny there's not something going on there?
People that don't
That's
want
why.
to.
That's
People
what
that
Sam was talking about with one eye covered. That just made me think. Well, I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Hassan?
Yeah, so there's a very famous documentary series. I think Octavio, did you want to say something or?
No. I was just gonna say that what we are seeing here is just that's the entire entertainment industry.
The entire industry, entire
There's a-
music, the films, everything. Wow.
I would love to do a live one actually. I would love to do a live on what I was about to say. There's a famous documentary series. I think maybe JM might have seen it. Maybe you might have seen it, Octavio. We used a lot of. It was very popular in the Muslim community in the UK, and I think in the US maybe 15 years ago now. Daoud knows about it as well. I mentioned it. It's called The Arrivals. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh, you guys would. Octavio, if you're free this week, we'll do a live on it.
Oh,
Basically,
definitely.
it's a documentary series, and I'll put it in the group chat so you guys can watch it. It's
Yeah.
about 2 hours long or something, but basically it goes through how modern society, it's quite out of date now, but it's more relevant now than it ever was. How modern society is being molded by the occult to be susceptible to accepting the Antichrist when he eventually comes. So promoting, just go back to what you're saying, Octavio. It's grooming society from east to west, from all over the world, by the occult to accept the idea that the Antichrist is the true Messiah, and maybe making people more comfortable with the idea when he does present himself as, oh, I know this guy seems familiar. I'm okay with him because my society has been geared towards accepting him in a sense.
So, guys, what's more scary to you guys? This is my last closing thought here. What's more scary to you guys? Looking at what you just seen there with all those celebrities covering their eyes, from movies to TVs, what's more scary? The idea that somebody, and if it's somebody, we're talking about a group of people with far wide-reaching influence, saying to them, "Okay, you ready for your photograph? Now just cover your one eye here. Okay, now take the photograph." What's more scary, that or the idea that they themselves decided to cover their eyes? What's more scary to you?
The second one.
Okay, interesting. Nelson?
They're both scary. The second one would imply that they've already committed themselves to the ideology.
It's definitely the second one, because the second one suggests that there is actually a religion going behind it, or some type of belief system that they've all been inducted into and are now disciples of. That's the only explanation I can think of. And that to me is the most scariest thing. That's scary to me.
Do you mean what?
That's
do you know?
really scary.
Do you know? I think the first one is scary because that means there's an active force forcing people to actually accept it, for people to actually get into this. And if you don't become what they want you to become, if you don't follow what they want you to follow, then you don't become what you want to become, or you don't succeed in what you wanted to succeed in. I think that's pretty scary because that means that there's a gateway. It's like so there's a gatekeeper who's basically saying, whether someone can come in or can't come in on this. So That I find
You
that.
had so from Ellen DeGeneres all the way over to Taylor Swift to Jay-Z. You saw all those people doing the same gesture. So is it the same agent, or is it they've all been inducted into it? Either way, it's scary when you think about it, because something definitely is going on. You can't call it a fashion statement because these people are not following the same cultures. So it's not a fashion statement. All the rappers are doing it. Yeah, I get it. But when you have a model doing it, then you have Pharrell doing it, then you have Ellen DeGeneres doing it, then you have Madonna doing it, then you have Rihanna. Like, there's going to be something going on. But I want to know, where does it happen? Does it happen in their homes? Are they getting a phone call?
No, I think
it's
it's
really the scary part to it.
I think it's also the consequences of it's being normalized in society. So, for example, when people put up the horn, when they, I don't know if you've noticed, people
Yeah, I
put
know
up.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called the horned hand. It's called the horned hand. Yeah.
You see presidents doing it. You see a lot of people doing it, and everyone. You see everyone doing it. I think certain things have become so normalized now. They're so much part of our culture, which tends to happen when things when things get conditioned. It basically becomes part of the culture. So we are looking at this and we're like, oh wow, this is scary, blah 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 blah. But there are people that are just doing it, and they don't, because it's so part of the culture. They don't even think about it. They just they automatically do it. It's normal to them, and they don't even know what it means. They don't even know what they do.
Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna have to. This is a great series. I just do my quick final thoughts.
Yeah. Let's do the final thoughts now.
So my final thoughts is basically goes back to what I just the question I asked. What is the source behind it? Is it a culture, or is it an actual entity that's living through human beings that is directing people to do it? I think that's the ultimate question. But one thing I would say for sure is that as we go more on and on in time, look to AI to be the next version of what we're seeing here. And it's a shame we didn't do that topic on that series with the robot.
We should have done that. Yeah.
But that is something we could talk about next, because what we're seeing here is going to be fulfilled through AI. That's what I'm going to say on that. That's my last thoughts anyway.
I'm going to say that beliefs eventually, your beliefs eventually become part of the culture. They transform into what the culture is. That's what beliefs facilitate. That's what they create. They create culture. And when I look at the beliefs that secularism has brought about, through ideologies like feminism and so on, they pretty much match with what the occult teaches and what the occult is about. No wonder then why the culture has changed so much. No wonder then why we are doing things that a lot of people don't even know that, oh, that's actually practicing Satan in the occult. That's actually normal in the occult, and we are just doing it because it's so part of the culture. And I think the final goal is to when it comes, I think you talked about the spirit. Is it a spirit? I think if I think it, the culture is the gateway for you to basically eventually meet the spirit that will possess you. But first they had to create a culture that is satanic or that mirrors the occult. And because you're not going to have a Christian culture, you're not going to have a strong Christian culture, and then the occult trying to come in and propose its beliefs, because it's not going to take root. That's why this process has taken so long for them. And it's eventually here. We can see that the entire culture, if we look at the entire culture of the Western world is purely satanic. Everything about it is satanic, from the entertainment industry to you name it, it's satanic. Whatever we do, it's satanic. The laws, it's satanic. I mean, killing babies. I mean, how satanic does it get? So the entire culture is satanic. So now I can see why people will accept that, that spirit, that demonic spirit. It's the proper environment now for people to start accepting that. And we're gonna see more and more and more of that, because I think the final goal is to bring about Satan in the public view, in the public eye. Yeah, that's my final thoughts.
Oh yeah, I'll just make it quick. So yeah, the practice of the occult and magic has been around for civilizations. It's nothing but a deception. Take the advice of Christopher Lee. Never, 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 never get involved. You will lose your mind and you lose your soul. It's nothing but evil. No good comes of it. Stick to faith, ideally Islam, because it's the correct one. That's why it's the last one. And yeah, it's nothing but pure evil. Keep away from it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right, guys. There you have it. All right. We'll see you next time, guys. And thanks to John Michelle, and thanks to Hassan as always. Peace. We'll see you next time.
Peace.